Come on! Get your hands up, mothers! Oh, yeah! Ha-ha! Come on! Stand up! Wow! We are the tyrants! Messengers of Satan! We pledge you all!
You are listening to Unscripted Moments, a podcast about Propagandhi. On this episode, we are discussing Stand Up and Be Counted, track 20 on the 1998 G7 Welcoming Committee compilation, where quantity is job one. The compilation of outtakes, rarities, live tracks, and EP tracks that have forever been stricken from digital internet land, with the exception of a few rips on YouTube and used copies of the CD available for flipping on Discogs. As of this writing, there are 26 copies available for sale on Discogs, starting at $3.19. In fact, this album recently got some attention on the Facebook page for the Propagandhi Society, where Eric posted, "I want to ask this group if this album is worth owning. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rank this album? Is it a must own? This is the only Propagandhi album that I do not own and have overlooked. I was just curious if it's worth tracking down. Not sure if it's worth it. Congratulations, Eric. You are now forever immortalized on this podcast as the person who asked if this compilation was worthwhile to own."
Awesome, Eric. Steve, what is your experience with the compilation there?
The compilation, so I bought this compilation years, probably right around 1998, 1999, I bought it. It is currently stuck in my CD player that I also bought in 1999, sitting in the basement. The tray
Nice.
doesn't open, it doesn't play any CDs, but you can hear it rattling around in there. And it's been that way for about 14 years.
Oh my God. Well, my compilation lives permanently inside my 6-disc changer in my 2009 Toyota Highlander SUV. And I've got the CD booklet right here. And I actually have two versions of this. I've got the one with the brown cover with the little guy doing the mopping. And then I also have a cover where they did the version with Jord with the giant mohawk. They turned that where quality is job number one, double 7-inch into a cover for the compilation as well. And I was blew my mind a couple years ago when I found out there were two covers of this comp. Which one do you have? Do you remember?
I have the one that you have in your hand.
The brown one with the mopping guy. Nice. Looking at the CD booklet is super interesting as well. I was thinking about this compilation a lot the other day. It's not on streaming. It's not available online. But I have the booklet and I was like, okay, I'm gonna look through this thing. So I did. And there's they turned part of it into an ad for other G7 releases. I don't know if you remember this, but look at this. These are all advertisements for other records that came out on G7. So inside the CD booklet, that is like a permanent thing, is a built-in ad for Noam Chomsky's Propaganda and Control of the Public Mind, I Spy's Perversity is Spreading, It's About Time, Rhythm Activism's Jesus Was Gay, Consolidated's record Dropped, and But Alive's record Beast Jest Allies Gingut. They're all given space as basically an ad, which is hilarious because now time feels so fast that the idea of putting ads for other bands inside of a liner note for a release is just something that would never happen today. So I was like, oh my gosh, look at this. This is like an advertisement. This would never happen now.
As someone who works in marketing, though, awesome idea.
Say more.
Well, I mean, it's product placement. They know everyone's going to buy this record. Why would they not put other albums that they want to sell more copies of on the album that they know is going to sell?
Oh, and how idiotic of me. Now I'm looking at it and there's an ad for Fallow by the Weaker Thans here on the bottom too. So there's the Weaker Thans are in there too. But dude, it's hilarious because I actually went and listened to this But Alive album the other day after seeing it in here. This CD is like 25 years old. And I just went back and listened to this But Alive album just the other day because of this ad in this 25-year-old CD booklet. It's nuts.
It worked. Hear that, Eric? Better go pick one up.
100%. Eric, get the CD compilation. It's $3.19.
If I can get it out of my CD player, he can have mine.
Dude, I think that you should deconstruct the stereo and film it on Instagram Live and be like, all right, everybody, I'm going to rescue my 25-year-old copy of Where Quantity is Job Number One out of this broken stereo. Ugh. Anyway, so we're talking about Venom, right? Venom. Steve, talk about Venom.
I loved both of the Venom movies. Tom Hardy did an awesome job as Venom. I was always a fan of the Venom comic books growing up. There was a good Venom video game at one point. I've always liked Venom more than Carnage. I thought he was like kind of the better Spider-Man enemy. But yeah, like the Tom Hardy movies are awesome. I don't know if you've seen those, but they're great.
I've never seen them. For anybody who doesn't know about Venom, like why would you suggest that they go and check these out?
They're funny superhero movies. I don't know if you're into the Marvel Universe stuff, the Venom ones, they got a little bit more darkness to them. And like the kind of the way the character like Tom Hardy and Venom actually go back and forth and their dialogue together. It's awesome.
This is completely blowing my mind right now, Steve. Can you believe that Propagandhi on their 1998 CD compilation, Where Quantity is Job Number One, put in a song about the Venom movies? Like, I just cannot believe what I'm hearing right now.
Well, it was a Venom cover, so obviously Venom, the character, wrote this song.
Obviously. I mean, it's just genius. I mean, this is some next level stuff here, tying the entire Propagandhi world into the Marvel universe. Stunning. I mean, who could have actually predicted this coming?
And honestly, they do a great job.
They do an amazing job about this. And so anyway, I mean, it's really great work. What else do we have to say? I mean, we could basically just end the episode now.
Sounds good.
Okay, I can't hold it in anymore. Okay, so first of all, no, I've never seen those Venom movies. Obviously, now we have to talk about Venom from England, right? But if you're looking for more conversations about this compilation that we've done on this podcast, we have covered Mutual Friend, some on Nation States. We've done Utter Crap Song, which features a conversation with Beeve, by the way. Utter Crap Song, that was a great one. Oka Everywhere, which is one of my favorite episodes we ever did. Hailey Does Hebron, True. We interviewed Chris Hanna about True on episode 60. Definitely check that out. We talked about Nailing Descartes. We talked about Refusing to be a Man, Leg Hold Trap, Pigs Will Pay, Government Cartoons, Gamble, and Hidden Curriculum. So we have given a lot of love to this compilation on past episodes from my recollection. But now it's time to talk about Venom, the almighty Venom.
If I could just go back to Eric for 1 second.
Please.
Obviously, this compilation has been covered so much here.
Yeah.
He should know by now that it's worth buying for $3.19.
He's never listened to the podcast. I guarantee it. It's okay. I mean,
Eric.
I've done my best to evangelize Propagandhi in the podcast, but it's got a limited reach. It's a medium of entertainment that doesn't reach in the far realms of the world sometimes.
Or wherever Eric lives.
This is dedicated to Eric. 1,000% straight up. This is for you, Eric. So the entry for this Venom song inside the liner notes says, quote, "Music and words by Venom. If you want the lyrics, you must translate a manuscript from ancient Latin scrolls." It then goes on to say in a separate entry a couple pages later in the liner notes, quote, "Venom, period. This was supposed to be one of those 20 punk bands lie about their metal histories and record a cover of a metal song they heard for the first time in 1996 and think it's funny compilations. We back out of such poserness. For the record, I first heard this song in 1984, the year of its release." and I don't think anything funny or lighthearted about its reproduction here. The first two songs I ever wrote in my life were called Stay Wild, which is a reference to this song, and Thrash It to Death, and we shall not betray those pearls of wisdom. So those are from the liner notes of the CD copy that I've had in my possession since the 90s, and it says it right on in there. So I read them verbatim. So yeah. So Steve, there's no guest on this episode, and there's no cover, despite my call that I put out into the social media internet land asking for someone to cover it, and no one did. It is rare that I fail to procure a cover for the podcast, but I failed this time. How do you feel about my failure?
I mean, since this song is a cover,
yeah,
we could just play the song and it would be a cover.
You're right. Wow. That is very profound, actually, an observation. And yeah. So, yeah. Well, I also would like to say for the record that this guestless episode, there were invitations sent out to members of Venom. I sent a formal invitation request to Venom's publicity email on April 20th, 2001, which I found in my email, and I received no reply. I did not feel the need to reach out a second time. That is to Kronos' team from Venom. I also attempted to reach Mantis, formerly of Venom, co-author of Stand Up and Be Counted. And I also received no reply because Mantis's email contact form on his website is broken and I could not get it to send. So then I started doing things like making up email addresses that might be correct, like mantis@jeffmantis.com or jeff@jeffmantis.com. I tried a variety of invitations to email addresses that I was just guessing based on Mantis's, internet URL homepage, and I was not successful. So I did reach out to the two writers of this song, Kronos and Mantis of Venom, and I was unsuccessful. So
did Tom Hardy reply?
Tom Hardy was not available for comment about Venom, which was also a tragedy. So we've got multiple tragedies here. We've got no replies from any possible guests, and I was very disappointed. But it is what it is. Sometimes that happens. You can't win them all.
A no guest episode, unfortunately, means more of us for everyone to listen to.
It's totally wonderful. But you know who did respond for comment on this song? Guess.
Tell me.
Chris Hanna.
Chris Hanna.
Hanna.
What are the chances?
The chances are 50-50, usually. And the other person that I reached out to for comment, you want to take another guess?
Was it Jord?
Not Jord. Todd Kowalski.
Legend.
Of I Spy. The legendary Todd Kowalski of the band I Spy commented on this song. And the reason I say Todd Kowalski of I Spy is because Todd was not in the band when this was recorded. This is pre-Todd. So technically, Todd Kowalski of I Spy commenting on this is accurate. So anyway, Chris tells the story on his Patreon. I can't remember what episode it is, but it's got to be one of the Less Talk More Rock episodes because he talks pretty in depth about when John Sampson left the band. And in his Patreon episode, he talks about how they were playing a Venom song and he was looking over at John, who is a perfectly effective bass player in the band up until this point in Propagandhi. And John is just not enjoying himself. He's not loving it. He is disliking the situation that he finds himself in. Wondering why on earth are we attempting to learn this song? He's not feeling it. So very shortly after learning this Venom song, I feel is like one of the turning points in the band for John K. Sampson leaving Propagandhi forever. Chris talked about it, and it can only be this song because he talks about it being this Venom song where John was really like not enjoying himself while learning the tune. So I reached out to Chris and I said, Chris, we're doing an episode on your Venom cover, and the liner notes in the Quantity CD booklet contain no details on studio or personnel. Your podcast said this was the song where John and you were just like, this isn't working, and you parted ways. Did he lay down the bass track, or is this bass riff you? Did you record this at home? So I emailed Chris, and this is what he said. Chris says, haha, wow. Yeah, this was recorded in my attic room at the Red Fisher house that used to be at 701 McMillan in Winnipeg. That's Jord on an electric drum kit. He didn't like it, but I made him do it. I can't remember if John played on this or not. Probably me. So Chris thinks he is the bassist on it. It was recorded at 701 McMillan, which you can put into Google Maps in your computer at home out there, listeners. And you'll see that today the house no longer is there, but there is a fire pit, a wicked sweet fire pit now in the middle of the lot where the house where this was recorded used to be. So if you were looking for an awesome fire pit location, you can go and have a fire at the exact place where Chris and Jord recorded Stand Up and Be Counted by Venom.
What would you say the odds are that John still remembers how to play this song on bass? Because he clearly tried to learn it.
I mean, 0%.
0%? You don't think he remembers any of it?
You know what? I would love to ask John K. Sampson to tell his version of events that led to him leaving the band. Obviously, I know it's never going to happen, but man, Chris seemed to convey that the Venom cover was like the moment where they realized that they were going in different directions. Like this is like the one, you know what I mean? As far as like massive turning points in the history of Propagandhi, this Venom cover seems to have really been a crucial moment.
Well, if you look at like where Propagandhi went as a band and where subsequently the Weaker Than started as a band, completely different trajectories.
Absolutely.
So it makes sense. But I could never imagine Venom song being so contentious.
I mean, seriously. So that's the kind of the background that I got from Chris and from, the details about where it was recorded, et cetera. So as far as I can tell, this is a song that is only Chris and Jord on the whole entire track. Chris seems to think it's just he and Jord as well. So that's really super interesting.
And it seems like Jord isn't even a fan of it either because he didn't want to play the electric drums.
Dude, and when you know it's an electric drum kit, you cannot unhear that. And all I can picture now is Jord behind like one of those stupid pad drum sets where you can see his entire body, because an acoustic kit blocks so much of like what you can see of a drummer. But those electric kits, you can see their legs and their kick pedal is hitting that little pad. And so now all I can do is picture Jord behind this tiny electronic drum set, just really upset the entire time.
It's funny. I just picture Phil Collins going. Do.
Yeah, that's the so this is the imagine this visual out there, everybody. Like imagine Jord behind a drum set, really unhappy to be playing this electronic thing in an attic where the roof is probably super low and sloped, and he's just like shoved in a corner, playing away this Venom cover on this little electronic drum set. I mean, it's magical. It's really magical.
I'd love to see that on the animated version of the history of Propagandhi.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So if anybody's out there making a documentary, this is something that you must animate and draw in its entirety and do a full entire reenactment animated music video for. It's just crucial. So we have John K. Sampson leaving the band because of this song. We have Jord playing an electric drum set. We have them in the attic in a house that no longer exists. We have just these two guys playing this song for a compilation that they back out of. This is just a dream story for me. I mean, this is seriously a great song to memorialize on this show. And I really hope that we're doing it justice.
It's just such a series of like unfortunate, but now hilarious events.
I know. So we've got this. As I mentioned, Todd the Rod Kowalski from the legendary I Spy from Regina, Saskatchewan, weighs in as well. And this is what Todd said. So I reached out to him. I was like, Todd, I need a general comment on Venom, what Venom means to Propagandhi, and how you feel about Chris and George's performance on the cover. So Todd writes back very graciously, says, I'll say that when I heard the cover, I thought Chris did a great job of the song. He captured the spirit of it really well. I really like when he yells, even my mom, stand up. We all listened to Venom since we were in our early teens, and they're one of the bands that brought us together. We've always tried to maintain their chaotic vibe a bit in our songs. So thank you so much to Chris and Todd for the background information and the anecdotes. It's super duper helpful, and I'm really grateful to those guys for their contributions.
It's awesome that they just, continue supporting.
I know. I love it. It just makes me so happy. Steve, do you have any experience with Venom, the band?
I've actually never seen Venom in person. I was supposed to see them. I want to say it was 2013. I was working on a CBC show in Calgary with George Stroumboulopoulos, and Venom were playing in Calgary the night we wrapped our show. And we were going to go to the show, except the wrap went a bit late. I had to stay. So he went to see Venom and I stayed and worked.
Oh my God, what a ripoff. Did he say if it was good or not?
I don't remember if I followed up with him after that. We moved on to the next show after that, but I'm sure he had a great time.
Amazing. Well, I have heard bits and pieces of Venom over the years, but I am a product of my time and place with regards to audio and recording. Like, I didn't grow up with fuzzy metal records. You know what I mean? Like, I grew up on corporate rock, like Def Leppard in Boston. And then I went straight into Green Day and like White Zombie and Rancid and Tool and Pantera, stuff like that. So like, that's kind of where my musical tastes were. Like, there's a specific fidelity in recording sound that defines my life. And like these fuzzy old metal records were just something that it's a specific sound of music that I've always tended to gravitate to, like with metal, with like super highly produced stuff, starting like the Black Album, you know what I mean? Far Beyond Driven and Tool Enema. Like, so listening to records like these first three Venom records, which do not sound like the other stuff, feels like work for me because I'm not like of that time and place. So I started at the beginning of Venom. I've now been a Venom fan for officially 11 days.
Wow.
I know. So I started at the very beginning and I listened to the first three records in their entirety several times. So I started with Welcome to Hell. I listened to that. Then I listened to black metal. Then I listened to At War with Satan. And I was blown away by At War with Satan. I like it a lot. I love that the first track is 20 minutes long. That song is a journey. I applaud Venom for their ambition on that 20-minute song on side A with a bunch of shorter bangers on side B. Really cool. I like the record a lot. Some other favorite Venom songs I have are To Hell and Back, Don't Burn the Witch, Countess Bathory, Witching Hour, and Sons of Satan. So that's kind of where I'm standing with my, 11-day-old Venom fandom here.
So in terms of, we can just go back and talk about like the recording quality.
Yeah.
So like that, if you listen to any like old black metal, it's like they just turned up the treble like all the way.
Yeah.
It hurts your ears to listen to. And it generally just makes you feel uncomfortable listening to it because the sound is so bad. Like if you put your phone inside like an empty like soup can and played it, that's what this record sounds like.
Yeah. But do you listen to black metal?
I do listen to black metal. I tend to stick more to like, Matt, I'm gonna get roasted on the internet for saying this.
You're not, I promise.
But like I love that last Dimmu Borgir record, but
Mhm.
like, but the production quality is awesome. Like I like when we get, start getting like the symphony stuff in there, because like I'm a power metal guy. I like the classical stuff. So when you start incorporating the symphony into it, I'm all over it. But like, like those old like Mayhem records, like they sound like garbage too. They don't
Yeah.
even, like, half of them don't even sound like they're actually playing the same song sometimes, but it works for what it is.
Yeah, and for me, my black metal palette is so limited. Whenever I want to hear black metal, I just listen to Sons of Northern Darkness by Immortal for like 15 minutes, and then I'm like good to go for like 6 months with regards to black metal, you know?
There's we should go to it. There's a Dark Funeral show coming up.
Oh, where? Toronto?
Yeah, Dark Funeral, 200 stab wounds, cattle decapitation. We should go to that.
We will look into this. So by the time people are listening to this, I may have gone to this show with you. That would be wonderful. How do you feel about, like, obviously this second record by Venom is called Black Metal. How do you feel about this as like the origin of what goes on to become this genre? Does that title like kind of resonate with you with regards to this Venom second record?
I mean, it's one of those things where I'm okay with that being the origins of black metal. I have no strong opinion about one way or the other.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, let's talk about this record real quick. I got a little bit of details about At War with Satan, the Venom record. It was released on April 16th, 1984. It was produced by Venom and recorded at Impulse Studios in Newcastle, England. It was engineered and mixed by Keith Nickel and Martin Smith. And the song Stand Up and Be Counted was track 5 on At War with Satan on the B side. And it was written by Jeffrey Dunn, aka Mantis, who I failed to reach with multiple email addresses that I was making up. I cannot imagine why I failed making up email addresses to contact somebody. Who was the guitarist for Venom. And also Conrad Lant, aka Kronos, bassist and vocalist of Venom. Side note, Kronos is where the name Crony from Without Love from supporting cast comes from. So Chris named his cat after the vocalist of Venom, and I named my cat after Chris. So we've got a lot going on here with that. Say what you will about me for that. And then also Anthony Bray plays drums on this Venom record. So that's a little bit of the personnel details that I was able to find.
I mean, this is very much a classic era of Venom that this comes from.
Yeah, because I mean, I know they had lineup changes not too long after this.
But as far as I'm concerned, if I'm delving into Venom, it's this era of Venom that I'm going with. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't rip it very often.
Yeah. Yeah, like the first 3 records to me kind of feels like a really important Venom era, and I didn't go beyond the first 3 records, but I listened to these first 3 records a lot in the last 11 days of being a fan of Venom.
Well, I mean, in 11 days, how much, like, how many times did you listen to black metal in 11 days?
At least 7.
Wow.
A lot of times, like a lot. Like I was really trying. I was like, I'm really going to make the effort here because of how important the band said that Venom is. And if, like, when Chris was selling all of his vinyl a year and a half or something ago, he did a video where he sorted through all of his vinyl copies, and it was just like he had this one sequence or this one segment in that video where it's just Venom, 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 LP after LP after LP of just Venom records that Chris was selling when he did his Discog sale with Eye Ear Control from Winnipeg. So, I mean, I was like, I really want to know. So I really tried. I really tried for
I mean,
to understand Venom.
that's crazy. Like, when do you have time to watch wrestling if you're listening to it that much?
I know I'm missing out. Like you really just have to make sacrifices when you are attempting to become a Venom super fan when you're 39 and you're making a Propagandhi podcast.
Man, I mean, good on you.
Thank you.
That's a lot.
Thank you very much. Well, I really did my best. What do you think about the music on this one? Does anything stand out to you?
I mean, it's just classic thrashy, sloppy metal.
Yeah.
I mean, what more can you say about it?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I love how the Propagandhi version fades out at the end and then it fades back in, like it goes all the way silent and then it comes back in for like 5 or 8 seconds. It's so funny. How much fun it sounds like Chris had when they were making this cover. It just sounds like a riot. I mean, the vocal delivery is absolutely unhinged and hilarious the entire time, but it rocks the entire time. Like Chris did such a good job, but it's so silly and goofy. I got to commend it for how much fun he had.
And it's hilarious because he seemed to be the only one that had fun with it.
Yeah, George's like not even having fun. Chris is like, I made him do it. And that tiny little anecdote of George being unhappy while making it is so deeply funny, just insanely funny that Chris is like single-handedly leading this charge to make this cover that cost the band their bassist and co-vocalist and co-songwriter, and also makes the drummer who loves Venom not even having any fun while making a Venom cover. And then you have Chris over here going, stand the fuck up, even my mom. And he's just unhinged. It's absolutely fantastic.
With the whole backstory, that honestly, I think it makes the song that much better.
Yeah, I agree. So should we talk about the lyrics a little bit?
Sure, let's do it.
All right. So I got some notes here, not too much, but we've got, we are the tyrants, messengers of Satan. We pledge you all, raise your hands. This is the solstice. Hail, legions, arise. So for the record, this record came out in April of 1984. So not quite the solstice, but I suppose for a winter weary people, it's nicely wishful thinking that the solstice is coming soon after the date of the release of the record, you know?
I wonder if that was, I mean, obviously, like,
they
can choose the record date, but like, I don't know if they're thinking that deep into it.
Wouldn't that be amazing if it actually would have come out on the actual solstice? That would have been amazing.
I think that's such a deep cut that they're not even processing that.
No, this is where This is my job here, to overthink this. So then we've got, this is the best part, dude. We'll raise the roof. Okay. What? Raise the roof? Dude, it's like that Luke song, the lead single from Luke, the album Change in the Game. The song was produced and written by Luke himself. And the song sampled the theme from King Kong. So Raise the Roof came out in 98, and it became Luke's biggest hit as a solo artist and his only one to reach the top 40. And we all thought that Raise the Roof, which became such a common cultural term, was actually from Luke, but it's from Venom.
That's wild.
Dude, Venom is the origin of Raise the Roof, in my view.
So, I mean, which for the purpose of right now, the only view that matters. But just imagine, like, what's a bigger cultural impact? Creating black metal or the expression raise the roof?
Incredible. I mean, I am officially giving credit for the term raise to the roof to Venom now. This is irreversible in my brain. Because here it is right in front of me in black and white on Google Docs. Okay. There's no changing this. This is history we're talking about here. So then we've got the line after we'll raise the roof. Kronos sings Touch the Skies. As far as I can tell, Chris revises this to Stretch the Skies. So we've got a little modification here from Chris. It doesn't sound like touch in Chris's version. It sounds like stretch to me. So we've got a little bit of creative liberty here going on where Chris revises Kronos. I mean, that's a gutsy move.
I'm interested to know why he switched that.
He really goes for it too. When he sings, he goes, stretch the sky. So he really rips it vocally. It's really great. And then he says, we're praying for the wings of mayhem to arrive. Mayhem is capitalized. When I looked up the lyrics from Venom's website, Mayhem is capitalized, but it cannot be a reference to the Norwegian metal band Mayhem because they only formed in 1984. So they were forming as this was coming out. So there's no way this is a musical reference. And I got to tell you, I did not dig any deeper into that. I did not look and see if Mayhem is some kind of ancient deity or anything like that. I'm a little embarrassed because usually I would have gone the extra mile there.
And I'm just absolutely going to get torched again here. But obviously Mayhem were just forming at this time.
Yeah.
And obviously Mayhem were fans of Venom. I'm looking at this and being like, what's the correlation between this and the band?
I know, right? Well, I have no idea. There's no answer here. So we've got the screaming fury burns, brings us alive. Stand up and be counted. Stand up and be counted. We are the demons, children of fire. Your turn has come. Live your desire, burning ambition. We're staying wild. So remember in the liner notes where Chris said that one of his first songs he ever wrote was called Stay Wild. This is that.
Wow.
This is the reference. We're staying wild. This is a reference. Chris based one of his first songs he ever wrote on this exact lyric. So here we have another defining moment in the trajectory and arc of Propagandhi because this line was the title of one of the first songs Chris ever wrote. Amazing, right?
There's a lot of sweet lines in this song. Don't get me wrong. Lyrics are awesome. Just I'm curious as to why that one stuck out to him.
I know. I don't know. And I considered inviting Chris to be on the episode. But I'm trying not to overly bombard them with requests to do stuff like this. So this is a mystery that if people want to know, they'll just have to ask Chris himself. And I definitely, encourage people to sign up for Chris's Patreon because it's super fun.
And on a side note, man, he would really elevate this episode. because I'm definitely killing this thing.
Oh man,
I'm making this terrible.
no, you are amazing, and I am so glad you're here. So we're going to keep going. There's more. There is so much more. We stand as one, never denied. But here's the thing. You know what I'm saying, man? The chaotic nature of Venom that Todd refers to when he wrote me back to my question. He's like, we always tried to like, maintain the chaotic nature of Venom a little bit in our music. That's what this episode is doing. We are maintaining the chaotic nature of Venom doing this episode. So never forget, like this is very specific what we're doing here. We are stylistically appropriate for what we're doing here.
It feels chaotic.
Oh, it's wonderful. I'm like, maybe I've never had more fun in my entire life podcasting than this episode. We stand as one, never denied, defiant and proud. We stand together, metallic and loud. We will fight. I don't know if you listened to Chris's recent Patreon episode they did about nation states, but he goes into a long discussion about metallic music. And he says that the best music, in his view, in the history of music, all has a metallic edge to it. So, I see this as being a super important moment as well. Metallic and loud, we will fight. Metallic and loud being Chris's musical preference. You know what I'm saying?
And maybe it's because the early Venom records sound like they were recorded in a tin can.
Yeah. So we've got more lyrics. Devastation, pure hell, legions of the night, stand up and be counted. Come on, raise your hands. We are the black metal gods. I love this line. We are the black metal gods, because then they go into spelling out their own band name. VENO fucking M. So Venom is like, we are the black metal gods. That is such an outlandish claim. And it's so amazing. And it's just like, so like, yes, we are claiming our throne. And then they go into spelling out their own band name. And the way that Chris sings it on their version is so fantastic. So I just love this entire part where they spell out their own band name, because I cannot ever remember another band doing this in a song, spelling out their own band name in the lyrics.
I can't remember. I don't know another reference to that, but however, claiming we are the black metal gods. So I'm a huge, again, gonna get torched. I'm a huge Manowar fan.
Nice.
Love Manowar. But every song Manowar has is about them being the best metal band in the world.
Nice.
So it's kind of a similar vibe.
Sweet. I respect it, man. I like, past guest of this podcast, Brendan Kelly, was on our Rock for Sustainable Capitalism episode. He always talks about, like, in a very fantastic and humorous way. Like, the Lawrence Arms are obviously the best band that have ever existed. And I love it whenever I hear stuff like that. It makes me chuckle every time. And so I love that this part is in there. And then he says, are you with us right until the end? Stand up and be counted. Come on, right at the back. You want to be counted as well? Stand up and be counted. And then Chris adds, even my mom. And then he goes, ow, ow, ow. So he's got these screams in there. And it's absolutely gorgeous. So I just love Chris's vocal delivery. I think that Todd was spot on. And I love in the Propagandhi version, Jord has that emulated double kick sound that he does so well throughout the early Propagandhi discography. That beat that he does, like where he's like, is so on prominent display even on this cover when he's playing on that electronic drum set. So I just love the stylistic liberties that Chris takes with the vocals, switching up the lyrics a little bit, making it fun, making it funny, making Jord unhappy by making him play an electric kick because they were recording in an attic in their house. It's just so humorous, so wild, so crazy, so chaotic. It's just genius.
that story honestly gets better if it's like the middle of summer and they're just sweating buckets up in the
Yeah.
attic with the sun beating down on them. Like, in my mind, that just if there could be somehow video footage of Jord playing that on that electronic drum set for us all to just enjoy.
Yeah.
Oh,
It would be
man.
amazing. But here's my black metal face paint kitty. This is Eleanor. She's got black and white face paint and she's really unhappy now. So she's gonna go zoomy and go bye-bye. So there are other covers of this song. And I found some more funny things. A lot of people remember me saying "We Came Here to Rock" from Tartuffe was a Saxon reference, which Chris then said on his podcast that I was completely wrong, which was one of the greatest moments in podcasting history that's ever happened to me. I was driving down the road listening to Chris say how wrong I was, and I was laughing so hard because it was so perfect. So imagine my horror, Steve, my horror when I found out that Saxon had a song called "Stand Up and Be Counted." Imagine my deep trauma here, okay? So I felt very lucky when I hit play on that Saxon song, and it was not, in fact, a cover of Venom. It was their own song called "Stand Up and Be Counted." But Saxon is never far away from this podcast. Like it is a recurring thing here. But another band called Whip Striker, a metal band from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, covered "Stand Up and Be Counted" in 2014 on a record called 7 Inches of Hell, Part 1. Okay, so Steve, what's your takeaway from our wild, slapdash, chaotic time here that we spent talking about Venom?
I mean, it's been fun. I don't know how fun it'll be to listen to, but it was fun to have a conversation about it.
Amazing. Well, to me, this exudes joy. Chris Hanna's joy specifically. I think that this is an amazing artifact from Chris's adolescence, where he, I don't know how old he was when they recorded this, but maybe early 20s or something like that, and just kind of was living out his like 14-year-old, headbanger glory in the attic of the house on McMillan Street in Winnipeg. And I just love that for him. I'm so happy whenever I think about how much fun he must have had doing this and how nobody else had fun, but I guarantee you he had crazy amounts of fun. So he had all of the fun for the entire band combined and lost his bass player in the process, it sounds like. So I love that Chris had so much fun. He clearly wanted it to be well done, and they pulled it off. So a fantastic cover from Propagandhi, mostly Chris Hanna to his credit on this one for just going hog wild on these vocals. So I got a couple of YouTube comments. 1 point for the Venom cover. Very nicely done. Better than most of the metal bands. They put attention to the sound. Somebody else commented, "Even my mom, stand up and be counted." Yes, agree, definitely. And another one said, this is a good one. This is a good comment here. "This album got me into metal. Stand Up and Be Counted was the first song I performed with my band for music class in high school." So that is awesome. Hearing somebody say that hearing Propagandhi's cover of Venom "Stand Up and Be Counted" got them into metal. What more could you ask for? If you're Chris and Jord and you like get somebody into metal by putting a Venom cover on your punk rock record, amazing, right?
And also, let's shout out to whatever high school that was that let that band play that song in their high school music class.
Can you imagine like a 15-year-old being, "You in the back, stand up," just lecturing and screaming at the entire crowd to stand up? And what's even funnier is that I bet like no one would stand up. You would have these teenagers on stage screaming, "Stand up," and then no one doing it. Incredible. An incredible visual of like public rocking out and giving no shits at all if anybody actually does it. I just love that visual.
Oh, it's hilarious. And I think it's it's the perfect tie-in to the general sense of fun that Chris had recording the song. Like this guy or whoever it is from this comment got kind of like an equal experience out of doing it.
I feel like if Chris saw that one comment that he would know that he turned somebody on to metal just because of this cover. I hope Chris hears this. I hope he listens to this insane episode and he hears that he got this one guy into metal because of putting this Venom cover on this CD that came out on G7 in like 1998. I mean, that's really great. So kudos to Chris. Kudos to that commenter for actually documenting that on YouTube for me to find all these years later. But we don't really rate covers on this show anymore. It feels just ridiculous to do so. Our rating system in general is completely ridiculous in and of itself, but I definitely like most Propagandhi covers more than this one. I like the Corrosion of Conformity cover more. I like Gamble and True more. I do like this one more than What Price Will You Pay from the Recovered EP. I definitely like this song more than Leg Hold Trap, which is technically a cover from Toothpick Hercules. Jordan, Chris loved this band, and I bet for years all they wanted to do was be able to play this kind of stuff. So they did, and they did it very well. So that's kind of my takeaway thoughts on how I rank it within the Propagandhi covers canon.
To me, this song, like we discussed, is all about just them having fun. Well, Chris having fun, not everyone else, but Chris having fun, and it comes across in the song. And I think that's all that really matters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm so into it. Every time I listen to this song, I got so much happiness out of just hearing it, and so it's a really fantastic cover. I'm really grateful that it exists in the world. And yeah, so Steve, I mean, maybe the greatest podcast moment in the history of this podcast is talking about this cover. So I'm really grateful to you for spending this this very chaotic Venom hour with me. It's been a real pleasure, my friend.
Oh my God, was that an hour?
Probably. Who knows?
Oh, geez. I am so sorry for anyone that listens to this.
I went off on this bad boy. So anyway, if anybody's looking to find us, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at PropagandhiPod. You can email us at propagandhipod@gmail.com. This was our hour of Venom. Thank you so much for listening. Steve, catch you next time, my friend.
Have a good one, everyone.